Some names in recent days that are back in the news, in addition to Bill Gates and Leon Black. Kathy Rumler of Goldman Sachs, Attorney General Pam Bondi. They're the missing Justice Department files. Where do we begin?
Your guess is as good as mine. Every day we are getting more and more names that are getting called before this committee, and the names themselves are really, really surprising. I mean, even just like following Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton's testimony last week, we heard that Howard Lutnick, the Commerce Secretary, was going to be called to speak as well. So between him and Pam Bondi and Kathy Rumler and Leon Black and Bill Gates, it's just the names keep on coming. And there's a part of me that wonders whether this congressional committee bit off a little more than it could chew. And clearly when we see Republicans in the committee voting alongside Democrats to compel subpoenas from people that the administration may not otherwise want them to appear, then I think it's really worth looking to see what is going on with this committee right now and what are they achieving that all of these years and all of the speculation haven't been able to succeed in doing so far.
Jamie, what was the significance of the Clintons testifying, and in particular Hillary Clinton, who came out kind of guns a-blazing, if you will, in a quick statement after the testimony and the questioning and kind of finger pointing, if you will, at some very prominent folks tied to the administration?
She was so unhappy to be there. She said she had told them repeatedly that she'd never met Epstein and that had sent them a sworn statement in January, and that still hadn't been enough to sway the committee. And that was something actually that President Bill Clinton raised in his opening statement when he confronted the committee as well. He said, you made it personal, you brought in Hillary, she has nothing to do with this. So it was very, very interesting to see the dynamic. I will say the Republicans on the committee came into the Hillary Clinton deposition ready to argue, and they left just as combative. But when they went in to see Bill Clinton, they were as keen, and when they came out, they were so much more congenial about it. It was like Bill Clinton and his charm had struck again.
One of the things I want to ask you, and you have written about this, and this is going back to a story on February 24th, but there's been reporting about, the Department of Justice withholding or appearing to have withheld from disclosure files on Jeffrey Epstein related to a claim that President Trump sexually abused a minor. And that came from a top Democratic lawmaker. But I think you're going to have Pam Bondi up there, the U.S. Attorney General. She's going to be testifying on her handling of Justice Department files on Jeffrey Epstein. What's interesting is, and we've had folks on just say how that things start to be kind of getting closer and closer to the administration. We know Howard Lutnick is supposed to testify, of course, the U.S. Commerce Secretary. So what do we know about these missing files? Will we see these missing files? Are there more files to drop this week? What do we know?
Right now, 25,000 files that were retracted are being released, and our colleagues are going through them as you and I speak together. The testimony that the lady that you're referring to, the woman who testified or was investigated and interviewed by FBI agents on at least 4 separate occasions, I understand, that was all redacted, and the allegation that she has come forward with is that President Trump had abused her when she was a minor. There has been no public evidence to corroborate that allegation. But that is definitely one of the things that the committee is going to be speaking to Attorney General Pam Bondi when she turns up, because the way that the DOJ has been handling the release of these files. Remember, there was the entire Epstein Transparency Act that was passed last year. All of the files were meant to have been released by December 19. They have not still to this date, almost 3 months later. So it has been a very slow process, and there's been a lot of criticism about the way the DOJ has done it. I will tell you, we've been looking through the files even just now, and weirdly, one of my colleagues noted that some of the words that have been repeatedly redacted or sort of glossed over in some of the statements and files were just literally Sydney, Australia, for all kinds of reasons. But it just should give you an indication of sort of the weirdness of
the randomness, right?
This. Yeah, so some of these things don't make sense, and as some of the legislators who've gone to see the files, and they should have been able to see them unredacted, and have come back and said, why are these names redacted when they're not victims and they should be able to be identified? And then, of course, we've seen lawmakers name these people on the floor of the House. So it's just a lot of confusion and random sort of behavior like this. And Pam Bondi will unfortunately have a lot to answer for when she appears before this committee.
Will she be able to, or will the committee be able to compel the Justice Department to release files that have been redacted in a way that they see as haphazard and not relevant to falling within what the act compelled them to do?
I think they have to. I mean, I think that's kind of what they're doing. They're just doing it in a really slow, weird way. And the fact that the archive manifest has shown that almost 50,000 files were taken out, and they want them replaced. There's this, obviously, we've talked about this before, you and I, and sort of the political nature of the way that this is all unraveling. I think, it's going to be push-pull to see what they choose to release and what they choose to hold on to, and how far the committee itself is going to be willing to push to get as many of those documents out themselves. I think we're also going to see a lot of them going to the DOJ, as they have done in the past, to try to find those records themselves and being very proactive about it. So I think it's, obviously the DOJ's interest to cooperate as much as possible, because everything that they do or everything that they don't do just makes them look bad. And it really sort of amplifies, concerns or suspicions of a cover-up, which is not something the administration wants.
And to be fair, even though we, might reference a person or something that's connected, to be fair, and everyone will say, they're going through things. Just because a name is there or something, it doesn't necessarily mean something was wrong. And this is, I think, what you're getting to the heart of it, is that people want a fuller picture of all the files to really assess that. Jamie, just got 30 seconds left here. When do these people start testifying before the committee? Just very quickly.
In May.
In May. Okay. All right. So a little
Was
ways.
that quick enough for you, Carol?